Oh, last night we showed hundreds of local volunteers called buffers uniting to clean up graffiti throughout the city.
And as more and more of these buffers get involved, graffiti doesn't stay up as long. Investigative reporter Elise Haas shows us how it's also pushing graffiti writers to new heights.
This is the whole next level of danger. These are all heaven spots.
Heaven spots, high risk, high reward in graffiti culture, reaching rooftops, bridges, and overpasses.
When you see stuff like this, do you feel like graffiti is becoming like an extreme sport?
I definitely think there's an adrenaline component to it.
In the name of gaining street cred, graffiti writers take on the risk.
That's a dangerous activity that could result in somebody dying.
You've probably seen graffiti in seemingly unreachable places in Portland and wondered, how did they do that? These so-called heaven spots require people scaling buildings and structures, but they also reflect the danger that the tagger might not survive the attempt. And so as this trend gains popularity throughout the Pacific Northwest, we traveled to Seattle to meet with a father who has suffered the consequences of these daring heights.
An aroma fills Alejandro Gayton's apartment, where his child's memory is held up with a magnet.
Xavier, he was my second son, and he definitely was always full of love and light and very rambunctious. He loved to dance, so he would always be like, oh, let's put on some music and take a video of me dancing.
These are Alejandro's bright moments, though sadness still overcomes him.
Sometimes it's fine, but other times I'll just go drive by and I'll just see the monorail and I'll just start to cry.
Alejandro takes us back to the last place his son did graffiti in downtown Seattle.
There's a skate park right a couple blocks away, and they said that they were walking back to catch the bus home, and he said, oh, hold on real quick, and somehow climbed up.
Last summer, his son Xavier scaled this building to spray paint when the monorail struck him.
It hit him and he fell right down to here.
Alejandro was out searching for Xavier when he didn't come home, only to find his body at the coroner's office. Xavier was 14 years old.
Confusion, despair, sadness. When all the oxygen gets sucked out of the room, it's kind of hard to breathe, and you're really kind of trying to look for any sort of an answer, but you can't find anything.
I know that was a harder summer.
Yeah, I mean, he was at that age where, you don't always get along with your parents. It was a difficult time at the time where there was this green light in the city about graffiti was okay, and I wasn't okay with it because growing up I knew that you could be getting in trouble with a lot of that stuff.
Alejandro was referring to last June when a U.S. District Court judge issued an injunction that stopped Seattle police from enforcing its anti-graffiti ordinance. The judge ruled it was too broad. The very next month, Xavier died doing graffiti.
Starting today, the Seattle City Attorney cannot prosecute anyone for graffiti.
News reports like this, Alejandro says, gave his son the wrong idea.
And him showing me news stories on, look, Dad, it's fine. I'm like, yeah, I understand, but there's also other trouble that can go along with this and other dangers, and you need to be aware of these things.
His dad had caught him tagging this same spot before and grounded him for it.
It was kind of hard for me because he was very angry and upset that he was grounded and was very much rebelling at home and mad about the whole situation, but I felt like it was necessary because that was not the place to be doing graffiti at all. And his impression was, nothing's going to happen to me.
But death struck during Xavier's second attempt to hit this heaven spot.
Life's too much of a gift to be taking risks like that for notoriety on the streets.
When did you make this art?
I did this in 2020.
Still, Alejandro understands his son, since he also did graffiti when he was young. Nowadays, he only creates commissioned murals. He has permission to paint pieces here to keep graffiti taggers at bay.
That was the thing, I stopped doing graffiti And the only reason I kind of started back was to connect with Xavier.
Xavier was driven by his love for skateboarding, fashion, and design. Alejandro tried showing his son how to turn his interests into an artistic career. Instead, Xavier's face is an art installation of its own.
I remember when I first saw it, I started crying. I just dropped to my knees and kissed him right there.
Anom was Xavier's tag, which was short for anomaly.
I put the wings and the halos on all the letters, and I put a skateboard in a spray can.
From time to time, Alejandro comes back to paint in honor of his son.
And then I did this one for him on his birthday on that next year.
But it pains him.
I just, honestly too, doing graffiti is like, I don't even have zero desire. It's just like the taste of it has kind of gone from my lips.
Now he wants to start something new.
I'd rather do something that's gonna help you, that's gonna last the rest of your life.
Alejandro wants to honor his son's memory by helping others feel heard and showing them they don't need to take risks to feel alive. And Alejandro says that a lot of teens in Xavier's circle have taken the warnings about heaven spots seriously. Alejandro knows some people even closer to his age who still do these kinds of activities, but now they've decided to stop after seeing what happened to his son. They've realized that it's not worth the risk. His son, for instance, was kind of free soloing and scaled that building. There's other graffiti writers and taggers that will use like rock climbing gear to rappel off of bridges, etc. But even then, anything can go wrong.
Yeah, and it's just when you chase that high, right? In this
Right.
example, those heaven spots, it just never can end, right? Because it's so dangerous. I really appreciate that you're showing the complexities of this issue, that we just see graffiti, but there's so much more behind that. So as for Seattle, is the city still not prosecuting the graffiti and those who are caught doing that?
So it was about 6 to 7 months after Xavier's death that in February this year, the courts ended up reinstating the anti-graffiti ordinance. So Seattle police once again can now enforce those anti-graffiti policies.
All right, just excellent reporting.